Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. We're talking bowl action. We're talking the granddaddy of them all, as they used to say with the Rose Bowl. We've got Iowa and Stanford. And, guys, the question I'm going to throw out to you right out of the bat is it's the Rose Bowl. It's a prestigious bowl. But if you're Iowa, are you really happy to be here today? They were, basically a play away from playing in, for the championship. They could have been in, the Final Four if they knock off Michigan State.
Well, you could say the same thing about Stanford, because there was talk that Stanford would get into the number 4 seed too. That's the only question I have about this, is when you start, there's only one team that's going to win the national championship, but teams want to win their conference. And here they are playing in the biggest bowl game for their conference, but yet we have to worry about their motivation in this game. I think both teams will be pretty motivated, especially Iowa. It's been so long since they've
If you're Stanford, though, you had 2 losses. Do you really think you deserved it? I mean, obviously, if they would have beat Oregon at the end of the season in the middle of November, their loss, I think, was 38-36. Yeah, I make the case for them that they deserve it over maybe one of the teams that are in there now. But you'll get 2 losses. That loss at the beginning of the season to Northwestern, and I know, Brian, you were a guy that was high on Stanford at the beginning. You actually had a future bet on Stanford. And, after that, when you made the joke, anybody want to buy my ticket after the opening?
They became alive again.
Yeah.
I was with you, by the way. How is that when you got a ticket and right out of the blocks you lose your first game of the season? To answer what you were saying about which team is going to be motivated, it's kind of funny because I have to exercise discipline. And I always say this on radio shows when they talk about betting the bowl games or betting at all. And I said the biggest thing is to find some disciplines and stick to them. One of my big fat D, for discipline.
You coming at me?
Yeah.
Fat, I don't know.
I think we're all there.
I believe in the D part.
But I'll tell you, jeez. But anyway, the one thing I have to do is exercise that discipline, one of them that I have when it comes to a bowl game. Stanford, I agree. I see where you're going. Stanford won their final game of the season, so there was no letdown exactly after losing to Oregon. For Iowa, it's an undefeated team that had a chance to play for the whole ball of wax, who lost in their final game of the season going into the bowl season. And to me, that's a discipline. I cannot play that team. I either have to play Stanford or I have to stay away from the contest. And it doesn't mean that Iowa can't come in here and cover the spread or win the game outright. It's just I know in the long run, I'm going to do myself and those who follow me a favor by not backing that undefeated 11-0 or 12-0 football team that then went into that last game and finally lost and had the bubble burst.
And to quote the song by Alanis Morissette, isn't it ironic the way Iowa lost? Because all year, everybody was bad rapping Iowa. Oh, their schedule was soft. They were on the right side of all the turnovers. They should have lost the Wisconsin game. Wisconsin had 4 or 5 turnovers in that game, deep in Iowa territory, threw an interception, in the end zone. And how does Iowa lose? 3 turnovers against Michigan State. And the turnover in the end zone, and that was a game, Brian, me and you were watching the game, and we were on opposite sides. In Iowa, the ball gets tipped up in the air in the end zone and falls. The Michigan State guy intercepts it laying on his back. It falls right into his stomach.
Great play.
Yeah, great play. But it's ironic that they ended up losing the way they had won all year. And that's why I'm concerned
they also got smashed. I mean, what was it, a 20-play drive for Michigan State to win that game? It wasn't just luck. I mean, Michigan State kicked their butt sideways.
But Michigan State
20-play drive to win the game.
But if Iowa puts it away, Michigan State doesn't have the opportunity for that drive, to do it. So I got a question. If you're Iowa, I got a question, being excited to be there.
It wasn't like they came into the season thinking they were going to the Final Four. I mean, they were an afterthought, really. They did have the easiest schedule in the country, especially because you didn't play the big teams out of the Big Ten. But they did what they had to do every week, and we talked about them. I even said, I had 17 teams at one point rated higher than them, and they were ranked number 4. So we will see. I think they're going to get good efforts from both teams. I think they both want to be there.
How about the old angle? And I don't know, you guys, how you felt about the Heisman Trophy. If I had a vote, my vote would have went for the running back for Stanford, Christian McCaffrey. I think he was the best.
Same here.
Same player in college football. I mean, Iowa. Alabama. It's SEC. It's Alabama. the majority of the writers, they always say, is east of the Mississippi. How many people really watch the West Coast teams? But you look at from week to week, if there was a better player in the country that meant more to his team, this guy did everything but sell popcorn in the stands.
There's about 8 other schools that if he played for, he's the Heisman Trophy winner as we speak. He was just named Player of the Year, which hardly ever you see a separation from the guy who won the Heisman and the guy who won Player of the Year. He's the best player in college football in 2015, there's no doubt about it. And if he played in the SEC, he's hoisting around that Heisman Trophy right now and doing the pose. To me, it's as simple as that. That's not to take anything away from Alabama, from Henry, who had a fantastic year, but the bottom line is this kid had the bigger year. He was incredible. Real quickly, they put up that 6th spot in that opener against Northwestern, that real flat spot. They've scored 30 or more points in 12 straight games of the Stanford Cardinal. That includes 35 points or more 9 different times. Kanzeri, his ankle, it better be healthy in this one. He's supposed to play. He's expected to play. If he is having any problems at all and the onus of the offense falls on the shoulders of C.J. Beathard, they're in some trouble. It's got to work hand in hand, the passing game and the running game for Iowa.
Gun to your head, who do you lean to?
I honestly don't know. This looks like a pass for me.
Any thought?
I'm going to go with Stanford. I'm just going to say this, though, that, again, it's a discipline situation for me when it comes to handicapping. You have to stick to your disciplines. There's a chance Iowa can win this game, obviously. Yeah. There's a chance they can cover the spread, obviously. But I won't play them after having their bubble burst in that conference championship.
I agree with you. I like the under more. I think we're going to see a low-scoring game. And look at what Vegas put the number up. We've had all these totals flying over the early bowl games. Watch the shift when we get to the more meaningful bowl games. You're going to start to see a little more focus on defense with these teams. I'm going to go with the under in this one.
Sounds good.
There you guys have it. That is our national spotlight game for the college, Iowa and Stanford. Check it out in the Rose Bowl, and check out all of our other college and NFL videos for this weekend at WagerTalk.com.